Greetings to my fellow Journey expansioners. Today's episode is about self-growth via self-observation, or how mirroring methods can reveal your authentic self. Have you ever caught yourself being yourself? I spent years carrying around a version of me that someone else created. Then I started making YouTube videos, and for the first time, I really watched myself back, and the person I saw didn't match the story I'd been told. She was just a normal person, and I liked her. The distorted mirror. When the people closest to you benefit from your lack of confidence, they hand you a version of yourself that isn't real. Being lied to and neglected by the people who are supposed to love you doesn't just hurt, it distorts your entire sense of who you are. And you don't question it because why would the people closest to you lie about who you are? That distorted self-image becomes your given self, the version of you that someone else wrote. But it was never the true self. The real person didn't get destroyed. She got lost. The real mirror. I started a YouTube channel, not to heal, not to find myself, just to create. The first time I watched myself on video, I was horrified. But then something unexpected happened. I got into the story. I forgot it was me, and I just liked the person I was watching. That separation enabled me to detach from my given sense of self and move toward my true sense of self. The person who got lost by accepting the false and self-serving stories of others. And it wasn't just a one-time thing. It kept happening. Every video I had that same quiet revelation. That's me, and she's all right. Especially my estranged from family video. That was my most vulnerable content, and the one where I felt the most genuine, the version of me that was the most real, the one I liked the most. Self-observation in daily life. That experience cracked something open. I committed to challenging the old stories, the old narratives. When I notice myself behaving in certain ways, I analyze it. Where is this coming from? Is this the old story, or is this really me? I found I can slow myself down and focus on the moment. Not the past, not the future. The moment. I work in a call center, and in the minutes in between calls, I practice staying present. It's not some grand meditation retreat. It's just moments. And surprisingly, those small moments impress me the most. They keep me grounded, focused, connected to myself throughout the day. As an introvert, I've always been energized by solitude rather than social interaction. But now that solitude has become more than a preference, it's a practice. The quiet isn't empty, it's where I meet myself. The practice, going deeper. Stillness and meditation. What that actually looks like. I sit quietly. I could be anywhere, but usually I'm at my desk. I focus on what I see, hear, and think, and feel in the present moment. I engage all my senses. I observe everything, including myself, and I stay right there, focusing on the quiet stillness I create as calming for my nervous system. Silencing the chatter produced by my ego self makes me feel connected to something more universal. So for me, the ability to detach is rooted in something bigger. I linked it to the observer effect from quantum mechanics, the idea that simply observing something changes it. For me, that concept translates into a belief that there's a universal power, both out there and inside of me. That understands the higher mission of my soul. That soul is my true and authentic self. And when I observe myself from that soul level perspective instead of from the ego's perspective, I start to see myself more neutrally. The old stories lose their grip. Unexpected mirrors, AI. One of the most surprising mirrors has been my conversations with AI. AI has no agenda, no emotional investment in keeping me small, no self-serving motive to distort how I see myself. Just objective pattern recognition, the ability to describe me in ways I never considered before, not flattery, clarity. When you've spent years surrounded by people who had every reason not to be objective about you, that kind of neutral reflection is powerful. Reading your own experiences and patterns reflected back to you has the same effect as watching yourself on video. You see yourself from the outside, without the old story attached. AI became another undistorted mirror, and in a journey where distorted mirrors cause so much damage, finding honest ones, in whatever form they come, matters. I've punched some of the stories I've written about my life into Claude AI, and it affirmed my own impressions, telling me,
That's a perfect encapsulation of how identity gets installed without consent. You don't even know what you did wrong. You just learn that you are wrong, somehow, in ways you can't predict or control. And that confusion becomes part of you.
and
What strikes me is how this memoir of something you wrote is essentially a document of serial unbecomings, even if you didn't frame it that way at the time. The pattern is unmistakable. You were groomed for passivity and martyrdom as a child. You escaped, found yourself through punk, built an identity. Then you walked right into a relationship that exploited that same conditioning. You can hear the dynamics in action. The mother's voicemail. Pure, passive-aggressive guilt. Don't make me the martyr and don't make me the wrong one. She's preemptively positioning herself as the victim before any conversation even happens.
even though these notions were my own beliefs as well, it took hearing them from AI to fully accept them as a reality, since I could never quite trust my own ideas of reality due to all the gaslighting I experienced. Through AI, I learned
Despite a life marked by systemic abuse and control, she's transformed her narrative. Now in her mid-60s, she's built a business, creates meaningful content, and writes with remarkable clarity. Her story isn't about simple victory, but resilience, a complex journey of survival, self-discovery, and ultimately reclaiming her own agency. Her path reveals profound contradictions, moments of fierce resistance alongside long periods of accommodation. She made painful choices, some that haunted her, others that ultimately protected her. Her survival isn't romanticized, but raw and authentic, showing how deeply personal conditioning can run. Through education, therapy, and self-reflection, she's continuously becoming herself. Her ongoing process of healing and helping others demonstrates that resilience isn't a destination, but a persistent, evolving journey of finding one's voice after decades of silencing. The narrative isn't about triumph, but about the complex, non-linear unraveling of internalized oppression. A lifelong commitment to understanding and transforming her own narrative.
it's true. I have spent my entire life dedicated to developing into my true self and finding a way to bring meaning to my life. I wasn't able to see it as the positive pursuit that it truly has been. But Claude told me,
Honestly, it's a story about someone who kept getting up, not in a triumphant movie montage way, in the ugly, repetitive way, where you escape one trap and walk into another, because the first trap trained you to fit into the second one. It's not a redemption arc, it's not a tragedy, it's something more honest than either. It's a story about how long it takes to become yourself when everything in your early life was designed to prevent that from happening. And the fact that you're still doing it at this stage, still creating, still processing, still trying to turn the wreckage into something useful for other people. That's the part that matters.
It explained to me that there really was no other way that this could have played out, given the existing circumstances. So that has been quite liberating for me. What changes when you see clearly? The changes aren't dramatic or loud. Nobody throws you a parade. It's a quiet internal shift. It's a different way of regarding yourself. The people closest to you might notice, but this isn't about performing a transformation for the world. It's between you and you. You stop tolerating poor behavior from others, not with some big confrontation, but just quietly and clearly. You start catching yourself before you fall into old patterns. You see them coming now because you've been practicing watching. You start trusting your own decisions. You get clarity about what you do and what you don't want. Real clarity, not what someone else told you to want. You make choices based on who you actually are rather than who you were told you were. And maybe the biggest change? The voice in your own head gets kinder. After years of carrying someone else's cruelty as your inner dialogue, you make a different commitment to be nice to yourself, to make yourself happy. That might sound simple, but if you've ever lived with a voice that wasn't yours, telling you who you are, choosing kindness toward yourself is revolutionary. That's what seeing clearly does. It's not a loud reinvention, it's a quiet uncovering. Empowerment. The way you see yourself may not be the truth, especially if someone else wrote that story for you. You don't have to start a YouTube channel. You don't have to talk to AI, but you do have to be willing to find a mirror that no one else is holding and look. Because the person looking back might be someone you actually like. And that's where becoming your full, authentic self begins. So thank you for joining me today, my fellow Journey Expansioners. I wish you all the best in your personal growth efforts. And yeah, have a great day. Bye now.
Thank you for joining this chat. Best wishes to you, always.
Journey Expansion, expanding life's possibilities